Very quick with the hand.
Oh my goodness. Whew. Thank you. Oh yeah, that's it.
Lots of energy, huh?
Nervous energy.
Oh.
I dreamt about you about 2 weeks ago. Quite out of the blue. And that's why I'm asking this question. Because in my dream, you invited me forward. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I feel a bit more grounded today. So my question is, I seem to feel the need to work with pain, people's pain. It's my job. Mm. And it's an honour. And it's a privilege. But I don't think I'm very good at working with it in that I don't really know what to do. Mm. And I can get very overwhelmed. I feel like I can sometimes hold on to it. And I can't, it doesn't make sense when people say, well, it's not real. It's an illusion. My heart doesn't believe that.
We're talking about emotional pain, psychological pain. Yeah. Yeah. So what's your question?
I heard you speak the other day about pain. And I know it's not my responsibility to make things better, I think.
Yeah, keep looking at that one.
Yeah. Maybe that's...
But it's part of what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like someone's got to do it.
Well, someone is doing it. There's lots of people doing it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. A lot of suffering in the world.
Yeah.
A lot of sorrow.
Yeah. And that's hard to bear.
You must be taking it on. How do you take it on? Really, how do you take it on? So you sit down there, you're with somebody, they're telling you what's going on, they're expressing themselves, they're opening themselves up. You obviously are open to what they're experiencing, what they're saying, what they're feeling.
And I think what happens is, sometimes people tell me things, and I find it quite shocking what I'm hearing.
Yes.
And I want to be there for them, so I have to do something to myself in order to be.
In order so your jaw doesn't hit the floor with shock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And love makes me want to do this work.
There you go. Yeah. It's a good work for you to do then.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Because it's the work of love when all is said and done, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the healing agent when all is said and done.
Yeah.
The healing agent is always love.
Yeah.
Right? Most pain gets put in place from some sort of lack of love, denial of love, or someone cuts themselves off from love. Who knows how it happens. Yeah. So especially if you do that kind of work, even if you don't, but especially if you do that kind of work, you really have to look at what your relationship with suffering is. Do you know? If there's any kind of no in you to the suffering. Because the no will cause that a kind of a little resistance, Even though your heart will take it in, right? Your love, your heart, your compassion, your good intentions, all of that, right? You'll be very open to it. But there can also simultaneously be something that's kind of like, kind of pushes against it a little bit, against suffering. Does that make sense?
Sometimes I can hear that someone has had things done to them, and
yes,
I kind of know, I can kind of see through why the person did that to them. I can see that. So I can, in a way, kind of cut through what's really going on, but there's still a level at which, I suppose I have a no to it. Yeah. It's not right.
Yes. Right. There it is, right there, right? There's the idea. It's not right. Now, how do you know that it's not right? How do you know that it's true that it's not right? People suffer. Some people go through extraordinary, terrible, awful things in their life, don't they?
Children.
Yes, children go through awful things. And adults go through awful things. There are people going through untold torment right now. Do you know? Somewhere in the world. Lots of places in the world. Right? So that goes on. Right? And then, of course, it seems like a reasonable conclusion, right? That this shouldn't be this way. This shouldn't happen. It's not right. Seems reasonable. But is it actually true?
I do know that I'm grateful for the things that have broken me.
Yeah. Often sorrow is what opens us up too, isn't it? Yeah. Often is. That doesn't mean we'd wish it on anybody. But often it's the painful episodes of life that actually open us up and transform us the most. You see what we're looking at, though, here, what we're looking at together, you and I. What we're looking at together is what causes any amount of resistance to suffering, whether it's one's own or, in this case, others, being open to others. You see? Because I'm not one of those people that just says, suffering's all an illusion. No, much of what causes suffering, or I should say, much of what sustains suffering is an illusion. But the suffering itself, that's a very real thing, right? When you experience suffering, you experience a very real emotion, really real physical signs of suffering. It's a very complex phenomena that happens. That's very real. Right? What can sustain suffering, or what often sustains suffering, is some way that we're not in alignment with reality. That's often what sustains it after whatever caused it. Some misalignment.
What, like, I deserved it?
That could be it. Right. That'll sustain it, won't it? Mm-hmm.
I know how to do that.
Yes. Right. It doesn't take much of a little bit of one sentence of sort of a belief about our suffering that sustains it. Just a little sentence, a half a sentence. This shouldn't be. And the next thing you know, you're encountering suffering, and you're suffering because you have this thought that says suffering shouldn't be. It seems like a reasonable conclusion. Right? It seems almost logical. This shouldn't be. Why would there be suffering? But there is suffering. There is. So which one's going to win at the end of the day? There is suffering, or suffering shouldn't be? which one's going to end up to be more real, more lasting? It's like if you walk outside and it's raining and you say, it shouldn't be raining today. Who's going to win? You or the rain?
I've lost that one many times.
Yes, I think we all have. Right, we all have. It shouldn't be raining. It shouldn't be cold. That person shouldn't be like that. What are they wearing that outfit for? Whatever. It could be the most silly, the most silly thing. So we have all these ways in which we argue with reality, with what is. So someone comes to see you. The reality for them in that moment is their suffering. That's what's real. Everything else, whether they should or shouldn't, either way, that's not real. That's a commentary, isn't it? And what's your experience when you put yourself at odds with what is? What's the result?
Get more of it.
Yeah.
I think, as I stand here, I think there's a bit of me, because I do know that. I do know the difference between this is suffering. But I think because what people want from me is this shouldn't have happened.
Right.
It's as if I say, this is suffering, maybe there's a part of me that's scared that they will think that I don't believe them or something like that.
You don't have to tell them you don't have to tell them this is suffering. They already know that.
Yeah, they do.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you want when you're in suffering, when you're in sorrow, when you're in any kind of distress, and you talk to somebody, anybody, you talk to a therapist, you talk to a good friend, you talk to a stranger, when you're talking about it, when you're opening your heart to somebody about what's happening, especially if it's something that's painful or difficult, what do you really want from them? What's really healing? What really heals? What's your experience?
Being heard.
Ah. Before that, without that, nothing else matters, does it? Just to be heard. Just to be heard. And to be heard in a deep way, right? To really be listened to in a very heartful way. That's first, always first.
I think that it still leaves me with my own reaction to it.
Yes. It shouldn't be.
Or that's really scary, actually, as well.
Or that's really scary. Yeah, some things are scary, people tell you. Yeah. See, it depends what's operating in you in that moment. If it's you listening and you being open and you receiving what's happening, it can be much more difficult than if love is really listening. Love is really present. Love is listening to something that's shocking.
I know about that. I have to make myself bigger.
What's that?
I have to make myself bigger.
No, you are bigger.
All right, I have to
you just
recognize my bigness.
Yes. Just stop asserting your smallness. Your smallness there, we all have a smallness about us. We all have a humanity about us. That's okay. We also have like I said, we also have this sort of frail humanity about us. That's fine. That's part of the package too. But you are also large. And you know that. Right? And it's only that which is vast that can hold a space for the kind of sorrow. Because it seems to me, that's what I've seen the very first thing people need is a space, someone that can hold a space of okayness while they express themselves, at least to begin with. And as soon as you lose the space and you become the person, everything's different, isn't it? Mm. You can easily be overwhelmed or kind of shocked or feel like this shouldn't be happening or, But what's it like to be a sort of a compassionate, loving space?
It's easy.
Yeah. Not for other people, also for yourself.
That's harder.
What's that?
that one's harder.
Yes, yeah. that is the old Dr. Heal Thyself, right? or teacher, be your own best student.
Yeah.
That's what my teacher told me. Always be your best student.
Yeah.
Always be the person that needs to listen to yourself the most.
Yeah.
But just what I really want to leave you with is just that sort of, just that inquire, that questioning. When you feel something that gets between you and another, or makes it heavy. You walk away and you're drained and you're tired, or you feel some amount of stress or whatever. Really, just really look at. It's a very simple thing. It becomes very complicated in our mind, but it's a very simple thing. Like, okay, what am I telling myself that's setting me at odds against what's happening here?
I know the answer to that.
Yeah?
It's will I be good enough? Will I be good enough? That's what does it.
Yeah.
No is the answer to that.
There you go. Great. Now we can be done with that.
It's true.
Then you can go to something bigger. Because you see, the thing that usually asks the question is the very thing that can't actually be big. Will I be good enough? Or it could already have a conclusion. I'm not good enough. I'm not.
How are you going to mess this one up?
Right. I'm going to mess this one up.
Yeah.
Right. Right. But all that is from our idea of ourself.
Yeah.
Right? A diminished idea of ourself.
Yeah.
So that's also something to be looked at. Okay, that's my idea of myself. A part of my idea of myself. Now, is my idea of myself what I am?
No. I was thinking it's easier for me to step up, kind of get out of my way and be, I don't know, get out of whose way really, but whatever I am, and be big if I'm doing it for someone else.
Of course. That's common.
I want to do it for me too.
Mm-hmm. Then do it for you too. Do it because that you might as well do it now. Here you are, right? That's the Dr. Heal Thyself thing, right? You can be big for somebody else. If that's common amongst almost anybody. Is often when you're with somebody, when you feel like they need you, or they're asking you to be present for them, they bring out the best in you. It just automatically happens. You can do things for people that you wouldn't normally do for yourself. You can come up with kinds of wisdoms that for other people that you wouldn't usually be able to come up with just for yourself. Right?
There's a lovely then irony to Dr. Heal Thyself, because that's then how I found my bigness, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Actually.
That's right. Yeah. It comes forward when you're with others. So now you know the experience of when something bigger than the little sort of ego personality in there. You know what it's like when something bigger comes forward, right? So you can elicit that just through almost a kinesthetic memory of it.
Mm.
What would your bigness say to that little piece of yourself that says, I'm not whatever. I'm not good enough. How does your bigness see that?
Bless you.
Ah, there you go.
Bless you.
There you go. You see how instantaneous it's there for you?
Mm.
It's like that. You knew it immediately. What many people don't know is they don't even imagine that they can literally just call it forth on command. They don't know because they've never even tried to call it forth on command.
Mm.
Like you just did. You just called it forth on command, and there it was.
Mm.
Bless you. That's the healing. Isn't it? Because there's a difference between healing and fixing. Nobody wants to be fixed.
No.
You ever had that feeling when someone's trying to fix you? You're talking to them, you can tell they've already diagnosed you and they're trying to... It's nauseating, isn't it? Oh, it's just terrible.
It's horrible.
Right, it's horrible. It's horrible. Nobody wants to have even the slightest inkling and yet often people are actually trying to fix each other. But when you elicit like you did, that bigger self, that bigger part of your being, it didn't try to fix the little part.
No, it doesn't.
Did it?
And that's what's really infuriating. It's because I don't try and fix people. I actually know better than that.
Good.
So it's...
That's probably why they come to you.
Well, anyway. Well, they do.
Or they come back to you,
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Nice to talk with you.
Nice to talk with you.